Some of you are here and don't know who Margaret is. Margaret, her and her husband, the late Pastor Don Hemingway, were one of the original pastors almost 50 years ago of this church. And so this church is built on the foundation they laid, and foundation other pastors out since then have laid. And so it's a privilege to have you with us. He now lives in Alexander. Is that right? Arrowtown. Starts with A, Arrowtown. Around the same area, I think. I probably got it wrong. Arrowtown. But anyway, let's carry on, shall we? Well, the title of my message is Doing Life Together. And I'm going to ask Porter, could you come up here, my beautiful wife? Why don't you come up? I just want to show off her t-shirt that she's wearing. It says Elim, look at that, that's pretty cool. Spin around. Here we go. I'm here to help. And she's the story of my life. She's always here to help me. Thank you so much. And I really can't do life. I'm so glad I'm doing life with Portal. I'll be really boring by myself. There's no one to tell me how to dress, no one to cook my food. No, just kidding. It's incredible. In fact, my wife said to me, Ants, maybe this morning to wear a hat because every time you stand up there, just the light shines off your head. And I said, well, it's like Moses when he came down from the mountain and just shone. I said, no, it's just your head. But you know what? We were meant to do life together. Life is so much boring if we do it on our own. Have you ever been, when I go places, who loves to take selfies? Anybody love to take selfies? Come on, anybody want to? Come on, I know you like to take selfies. I don't really take selfies. But when I do, what are you laughing? But when I do take selfies, I prefer to have other people in the picture with me, like, I feel like doing a selfie right now. But anyway, other people in there, hey, smile, everybody. Sometimes my head is too big, it's in the way, but it's okay. And I'm a relational type of person. I love hanging out with people. I can't go to the movies by myself. I know some people can go to movies by themselves. I can't. I know you're sitting in the movie by yourself, not talking to them, but I still prefer to be sitting with somebody, watching a movie. It's so much better, sitting together, not talking to each other. But it's awesome, just hanging out there. And I remember when I was about 3 years old, which 20 years ago or something like that. Maths wasn't a big subject for me. When I was very young, I was pretty much raised by my grandmother. I was kind of like joined to a hip. Basically, wherever she went, I went. She went to church on Saturday mornings to clean. I went with her just to watch her clean. When she went to funerals, people have no idea who they are. I went with her. She went to women's meetings. I went with her. Wherever she went, I was there. I remember one day, we go to my uncle's house. And as I'm playing with my cousins, I look around and say, I can't see Nana. I have a look in the kitchen. No, Nana's not in the kitchen. Not in the toilet. Then it dawned on me. My grandmother wasn't there. I was like, my Nana. And I just started crying. I was bawling my eyes. I was like, where's my Nana? And everybody tried to calm me down. It's okay. She'll be back. She'll be here soon. And I go, where's my Nana? Anybody know what I'm talking about here? Who's been there before? Come on. Who have been there with your own kids, It's kind of like that. If your kids don't cry when you leave, then it's like, if they're like clapping when you leave, then, I don't know. Yeah, mom and dad's gone. But when they're crying, but I'm crying for my grandmother to come, and they take me to the shop. And I remember just lying on the floor of the car as we're traveling to the shop. Back then, we didn't have seatbelts in the back, and so I'm crying. They gave me an ice cream. I'm still crying. And then my uncle growls me. He goes, sit up, stop crying. Have you ever tried to stop crying when you can't stop crying? I remember growing up, and I used to get the smack from my mum. Okay, believe it or not, sometimes I was naughty. I'm not. I know some of you think you can't be. You're just so perfect, Ants. And I remember, when you get a hiding from your mum, and she's smacking, and she always says this to me: "Stop crying," and she's whacking me. Well, stop hitting me. Who's been there before? Like, stop crying. But then my uncle told me to stop crying, and I'm trying to stop, and then all of a sudden you start blowing bubbles out of your nose from your snot. Boop, boop. Then my grandmother finally comes back. I'm hugging her. Nana, where did you go? How can you? What's more important than me? I'm the center of your universe. What are you doing? And I was devastated, but I was so happy to see her back. We were created to be in fellowship. We were created to be in relationship with people. That's the way God created us. We weren't meant to do life on our own. We were meant to do life together. That's what we're supposed to do. In fact, when God created the world, the universe, everything, right back in Genesis, He said, let there be light, and there was light. And then God blesses the first day, and He says, it is good. Then He creates a second day. Then He says, it is good. And when He finishes creation, He says, it is good. The first time that it's recorded in the Bible when God says it is not good is when He said of Adam, He said, it is not good for man to be alone. It is not good. We were meant to be alone. God created us to be in fellowship. See, our God is a relational God. We're made in His image. And we're made to be in union with one another, because when we're in union and in fellowship with one another in healthy relationships, it produces what's called synergy. Everybody say synergy. So, do you know what synergy is? It's when the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Wow, that's pretty deep. Sounds too intelligent for me to say, but I'm saying that. Ez has no idea what that means. Yeah, what that means is this. It's like the biggest and strongest of all the horses in the entire world is the Belgian draft horse. Now, the Belgian draft horse, we've got a picture of this. Look, that's pretty big and impressive. A Belgian draft horse can pull a whopping 8,000 pounds on its own. 8,000 pounds. But you know what's amazing? Is when you get two draft horses together, they don't just pull double what one horse can pull. They can pull 3 times as much. 24,000 pounds. That's synergy. But you know what's even more amazing? When you get 2 horses that grow up together, who are trained together, trained to pull as one, trained to think as one. They don't just pull 3 times as one horse can pull. They can pull 4 times as much. 32,000 pounds. Take a look at this. This is pretty impressive. You know, it's like, if I was the horses, I say to those guys, get off! You try to pull these. It's not even on wheels. Look, here we go, horses, come on, let's go. But that's the power of synergy. The power of synergy is that we can do much more together. We can overcome much more together because we're better together. We so are. In fact, Paul writes in Galatians chapter 6, verse 2. So if you've got your Bibles, turn there, or we've got it up here. Galatians 6, verse 2. Let's read it. Where's my Bible? Where does it start? It says this. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Carry each other's burdens. So Paul understood the power of synergy. We're meant to carry loads on our own. And some of us, that's what we're doing. We're just carrying things. We're carrying past hurts. We're carrying that stuff. You know, rejection, we're carrying that stuff. You know, a failed marriage, we're carrying that stuff. Children just don't like us anymore. We're carrying the stuff. And if we carry these loads on our own, the longer we go, the heavier it gets. Heavier it gets to a point that we just can't go any further. And all of a sudden, you're falling over. And I can't get back up again. This is what happens when we begin to carry things on our own. But Paul understands the power of synergy. He says, carry one another's burdens. Carry one another's burdens. When you're part of a small group, of a connect group, or a life group, when somebody comes along you and says, it's okay, come on, stand up, we can do this. And they don't just pick up, they put their load back onto their backs and say, let me take some of that. I'm carrying a load myself, but let me carry some of that. And the more you walk with them, they walk with you, you realize, oh my gosh, they're such a blessing to my life. Because at one point in your life, you're thinking, is my life cursed? Have you ever felt your life is cursed? That nothing but bad things happen to me. Is my life just a curse? But when someone comes along you and starts to bless you, you realize, man, my life isn't cursed. In fact, it's the opposite. What's the opposite of a curse? It's a blessing. It's the favor of God. And the best way for you to help yourself is to help someone else. Because you're blessed. Turn to the person next to you and say, you're blessed. Turn to the other person who was your second choice and say, you're blessed. Because God calls us to carry each other's burdens because we're blessed to be a blessing. Everybody say, we're blessed to be a blessing. We're blessed to be a blessing. Very good. I remember one of the Christchurch Elim pastors who came along, and he shared a story that one day while they were praying for people up the front, this lady comes up, she's crying. Tears are coming down from her eyes, because that's where tears come from. And unless you're blowing bubbles, she's crying, and the pastor's praying for her. He said, what's wrong? What's going on? And she said, my son has just gone to jail. And I don't know what to do. I've been part of this church for 20 years. And in those 20 years, all my close friends have moved on and gone away. I've got no one to support me. I'm all alone. You know what the tragedy is? The tragedy isn't the fact that she had no one to support her. The tragedy is that she had been part of this church for so long, yet she never made any new friends. She never connected herself to a small group, to a group of believers who were able to help her carry the burdens. That's the tragedy. We weren't meant to do life alone. It's about doing life together, about carrying each other's burdens. When you're realizing that I'm blessed to be a blessing. Because when you join up a bunch of people, you realize it's not about me. It's actually about I want to bless someone else. I've been blessed. I want to bless someone else. It's so easy to get lost in the crowd, isn't it? To come to church on a Sunday, be the last one in, first one to leave, to hide in the back, and no one needs to know who I am. I can just be quiet. I don't want anybody to know what's going on in my life. And sometimes we do this because we've been hurt in the past by people that are so close to us. And quite often those people have been members of the church. So I don't want to be close to anybody anymore because I don't want to feel that pain again. So I'm just going to do life on my own. I'm going to come to church because I love Jesus, but I want to do it on my own. See, I know this is true because I've been that person. I've been that person before. And the thing is, I tried to be that person in this church. I couldn't do that in this church. This church was all about my business. They wanted to know what's going on. And they're like, Ants, come on, we can do this. You've been hurt before. Let me carry some of that. Let me carry some of that. Let me carry some of that load. And I realized something. Church is not perfect. Church is not perfect. In fact, they say, if you find a church that's perfect, don't join it. Because if you do, it no longer becomes perfect. Because church is full of people. And we know we're not perfect. But let me tell you something. There's a perfect God in every unperfect church. He's called us to carry each other's burdens. We're going to make mistakes from time to time. But we need to shoulder each other's burdens. Because we're blessed to be a blessing. We're blessed to be a blessing. Sometimes I hear people say to me, Ants, I don't need to go to church. I can just stay home and go to church. I can just do my thing at home. That is so unbiblical. You cannot find that concept at all in the Bible. It is so foreign to the Word of God to do life on their own. Jesus, when he prayed for the church to be one, he did not pray for us to be separate. So if you've got your Bibles, want to turn with me to the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 24 to 25. And the writer says this. He says, and let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. So the writer's saying this, how are we going to encourage one another? How do we do that? How do we encourage each other not to give up, to keep doing good? Because sometimes doing good, we don't get any rewards from it. I'm good to my boss at work, but he's just nasty. I'm trying to be a good husband, but I just keep doing things wrong. And I think, well, the more I do good, I'm not getting anything, nothing's happening, nothing's changing. So how do we encourage one another to keep doing the good things that you're doing? And the writer of Hebrews says this. Once my page comes back. Says this. Let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. See, the writer's saying this, we've got to keep meeting. Don't form a bad habit. The bad habit is this, is not meeting together. That's the bad habit. That's the unhealthy habit. And so you got to understand that the writer of Hebrews, he's writing to a church that's persecuted. He's writing to a church that if you say that you're a Christian, you're marked. That you're constantly under the fear of losing a house, losing a family, imprisonment, even death. And it's much easier not to meet together, to align yourselves with other Christians, to be marked and set apart. It's easier to keep away. The writer of Hebrews saying we are so persecuted that we cannot afford not meeting together. We've got to encourage each other, spur each other towards love, towards keep on doing good. You're being persecuted, keep doing good. People are hating you, keep loving people. Don't stop. Don't stop meeting together. It's so easy for us to fall out of the habit. So easy for us to stop meeting together. The writer said, don't stop. You know, when I used to do youth ministry, whenever a youth member said to me, Ants, I'm just going to have a break from youth. 9 times out of 10, they never came back. They never came back. They fell out of fellowship. They learned a new habit about not coming to fellowship. So I tried all I can to, hey man, how's it going, man? You want to come back to church? And what can we do? Let's meet. You know, let's continue to meet together. Let's continue not to fall out of fellowship. When I think about the early church, what did they do? They met corporately in the temple daily. And they met in each other's homes. They did the corporate thing. Jesus, the Bible tells us that as the habit of what he did, he went to the synagogue. Jesus, he modeled the ideal habit. He went to the synagogue weekly as was his habit. And the synagogue was their place of worship. It's like what we have for church. Jesus ran his own conferences. He had one conference, he had 3,000 people. Another conference, he had 5,000 people. He fed them with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Can you imagine going to a conference and the guest speaker is Jesus himself? Wouldn't that be a cool conference to go to? And you don't have to worry about food, they feed you. That's pretty cool. It's kind of like when I go to the Elim conference. You get a coffee and a biscuit. But anyway. Hey, that's coming up, by the way. Just want to put that in there. Register for the Elim conference. It's free. You know, Jesus is going to be there. He is going to be there in all of us. So it's going to be great. Jesus, he did the big things really well. He did the synagogue, meet weekly in the synagogues. He did big conferences. But his emphasis of his ministry was in the small group with a bunch of men he called disciples. And Jesus didn't run discipleship classes. Come on, let's run a discipleship class. Jesus, he should have ran a discipleship class. What's he doing? Yeah, Jesus, this is how you got to do it. Let's have some classes. And no, Jesus didn't do that. What did he do? He did life with them. He did life with them. There's something about meeting in your home, meeting in people's homes where you can let your hair down if you got hair, where it's intimate. There's nothing like a small group in a house. A home where you can get together, you learn, you laugh together. And then when people are going off having coffees or whatever, you're sitting down next to somebody and you realize, man, they've got some burdens. And where you can say, hey, take what? Let me carry something. Let me shoulder that. Because we're blessed to be a blessing. Because we're blessed to be a blessing. In fact, in this church, we want to grow bigger and smaller at the same time. That's what we want to do. Grow bigger and smaller at the same time. It's kind of like my New Year's resolution, but God always gets it wrong. I said, God, I wanted to get smaller and my wallet to get bigger. Okay, so yeah. So I went bigger, my wallet went smaller. But anyway, we want to get bigger and smaller at the same time. What I mean by that is that we want to grow larger. Why do we want to grow bigger? Because we want to impact the community more. The more that we are, we can impact it positively. More people we can touch with the gospel. More people we can make their lives better because we're better together. And we realize the bigger we get, we've got to get smaller. Because it's in the homes where we carry each other's burdens, where we learn to pray for one another, where we learn to fellowship, where we grow stronger and deeper together. This is the model that was modeled by Jesus and the early church, and we still do that today. We still do that today. In fact, we're going to be a bit ambitious. This church is going to be a bit ambitious. We're going to do something that I've never seen. Next term, we're relaunching life groups. With Chris, he took life groups and he tore it apart and he's reforming it. Next term, we're launching 20 connect groups. 20. Oh, my Lord. That's a big job, Chris. I don't know how you did it, but man, next week we're going to be setting up a booth out there. He says a booth. I think it's an American thing, a booth. Only booth I knew was John. He's like now in Franklin, Elim, John Booth. But anyway, seeing a bit, and in there we're going to have all our connect groups. And you can come along, you can sign up for that connect group. Be part of something. Because you've been blessed to be a blessing. And we've got like 3 streams. We've got your traditional life group. We've got a couple of amazing young adults life group. Any young adults in here? Yeah, we're so excited. We just want to go play some board games. It's going to be fantastic. No, just kidding. We've got some mature life group. Where's all the mature people? Yeah. We read the Bible and pray for 10 hours. We've got some great, and we've got like a pure Bible-based life group where you can join a connect group on apologetics. Apologetics is defending your faith. So go along there, get into some deep stuff. We've got like a new Christian connect group. If you're new to the faith and you're just starting out, we want you to be part of that. We've got speaking in tongues and prophecies. We believe we're Pentecostal church, and if you've never done that before, once you go along to that, I heard the leader there is very spiritual. Anyway, carry on. So that's going to be fantastic. We've got special interest groups. We've got like a skateboarding group. I lead that. Why are you laughing? No, I don't lead that. So we've got an Xbox of gaming connect group. That's amazing. The big guy that came up and said that he was turned 33. That was Ryan. He whispered 33. That was the year Jesus was crucified. But anyway, you're gonna have a great year. But I know that the great thing about it, like Jesus came back and he was amazing. And we've got these amazing groups starting to get back on track. Can you imagine what our church would be like if every single one of us was part of a connect group, a small group, where we're blessed to be a blessing? Can you imagine what our communities will look like? Because all of a sudden, it's not just about us, it's all about us blessing someone else. It's about inviting somebody to our connect group, somebody who didn't want to have a foot, what's the word I'm looking for? Step through these doors. Well, what they do love is playing Xbox. Say, hey, would you come join our group? We're just a bunch of guys, Christian guys. We love Jesus. Carter's good. I thought I'd drop that in there. Carter's good. COD. Stands for Call of Duty. Battlefield. But God is better. Come on. G-O-D. Are you down with G-O-D? Yeah, you know me. Oh, my wife is giving me a tissue. There's always a tissue for your issue. Anyway, let's carry on. But we've got some great groups. Can you imagine inviting them to your connect group? And they're just gaming. Like, hey, before we start, we're just going to pray. We're Christians. We believe in Jesus. We love Jesus. And we love our connect group because we work as a team. And come on, let's go around, flank those guys so we can shoot them. Oh, game. And this guy he's unchurched, he's part of your group, and all of a sudden he's going, man, there's something different about this group of guys. I mean, they're normal, they love what I love, but there's something they have that I haven't got. I'm not sure what it is, but I need what they've got. And you know what, I might check out this church, because when I come to this church, it's not just me by myself. I know 10 other guys who come to this church, so I know that I'm not alone. Can you imagine what our communities will look like when we begin to invite and encourage, because we're blessed to be a blessing. We're blessed to be a blessing. So next week, sign up to our connect group. In fact, we're structuring, we're forming it differently. And you come along to our Connect group, and it goes for about 10 weeks. So you join yourself to a Connect group, goes for 10 weeks, then we have a break. And then you have to rejoin yourself to that Connect group if you want to keep going. The reason we do that is because you might be part of your Connect group, and it's great, but then you're like, you know what, I wouldn't mind doing a term on apologetics. So when those 10 weeks are over, you can then sign up to apologetics and go along to that. And you might think to yourself, well, you know what, I wouldn't mind skateboarding with Hinare. I always like to get injured. And then after that, you might want to go to a healing group. So connect yourself. And the amazing thing about this is that you don't have to just join yourself to one Connect group. You can join yourself to a whole bunch of Connect groups. I'll tell you what, I'm so excited. It's ambitious, Chris. Ambitious. 20 Connect groups. Are you for real? Oh, my Lord. But we're doing it. Because our mission is to lead people into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ. That's why we got to do it. That's why we're doing it. Because we're blessed to be a blessing. Now, I just want to finish with this. When I was a younger man, I was working for one of the largest companies in New Zealand, touching the world, New Zealand Post. And when I was at New Zealand Post, I'm just, I was about in my maybe mid-20s, about 10 years ago or something like that, give or take. And everybody knew I was a Christian. Because every day I was standing on the table and say, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian. No, I didn't do that. Everybody knew I was a Christian. I don't know, because people asked me, what'd you get up to in the weekend? Man, I went to church, it was awesome. Oh, okay. But that's a great way of telling people you're a Christian because they ask you something. What'd you get up to in the weekend? Normally we go, I went fishing, stayed home, but we forget to tell people we went to church. Because they might know, they think you're a Christian. Well, anyway, I'll just tell people I'm a Christian. So I'll be working at New Zealand Post, doing what I normally do. I'm just doing that. That's what we do at New Zealand Post. And as I will work side by side with somebody, they'll begin to ask me questions about church and about God. And so I'll share to them about God. And, they've asked me their question, tell them my testimony. Then I'll work with somebody else. And then they'll ask me about God. And the more I worked within my team, everybody was asking me about God. And I was thinking, when I'm with them individually, but when we're together, they're like, hey, man, we're just so cool. But individually, they're asking me about God. Then it dawned on me. I said, why don't I get these guys together for a small group? And so I said to all of them, in fact, I said, hey, man, I was thinking after work in the smoker room, we'll have a bit of a Bible study. We'll get together, and I don't know if you're interested. And you know what? My whole team, Friday afternoon, normally the boys will have a drink up, watch a game of rugby. We had a guy named Nilesh, he was from India. We were teaching him how to play rugby. Watching him rugby, he watched his first Super game at work, and he said, oh my gosh, they're like wrestlers. They're wrestling. He said, oh no, it's a sport. You should play. And so, but anyway, I had all these guys in the smoker room, and then I'll just begin to share to them about Jesus. This small little Connect group. I had Nilesh, he was a Hindu. I knew he didn't eat meat because he didn't eat meat. We had somebody who was in a lesbian relationship. We had all sorts. You name it, they were there. So I gathered them around. And so every Friday afternoons after work, we'll just get there and we'll just talk about Jesus. I'll just share about Jesus and who he is and why he died on the cross. He died because he loved us and all the wrong things that we have done. We don't have to carry that anymore. That Jesus died for that and that he rose again. And because he rose again, it means that one day when you will rise again in eternity. And then I shared to them about grace and works. That is by grace that you have been saved through faith, not by works, where you may boast. And as we went along on the 6th week, I was in there because I said to them, we're just going to do it for 6 weeks. Then you guys can go back, do whatever we want. So the last week, I was there and I was talking to them and I just felt something in my heart saying, man, you should ask if anybody wants to give their heart to Jesus. You should ask if anybody wants to accept this amazing gift. And I said, I don't know, this is my workplace. I don't know. Oh, man, we were in the smoker room. The guys have got some beers for later on. But I was there, and I said, hey, guys, look, let's come to the end. And I'm gonna say this simple prayer. And if you want to receive Jesus, just follow after me. So I'll say it first so you can hear it. Then I'll say it again. The second time, say it with me. And so I just said something simple like, because Lord Jesus, forgive me for the wrong things I have done. Yeah, I need you in my life. I want you to be my king in Jesus' name. And then I said to them, come on, I'm going to pray this prayer again and just follow after me. Then as I began to pray this prayer, I would like to say that everybody followed me, but no one did. It was silent. And I was like, yeah, that's good. I can't save anybody. That's God's job. My job is to sow the seed. I said, that's fine. That's okay. And then I ended, and then the amazing thing though, the following week, I'm there working, and then one of the guys' name is Tom, because that's his name. He comes next to me and goes, hey, Ant-Stocks, you know, when you said the prayer, Docs, I said the prayer too, but I didn't want to say it loud. Didn't want anybody to know, you know? I was getting, oh, Tom, man, that's awesome. Oh, yeah, sweet docs. And then he went off, and then I'll go working, and then one other guy will come next to me and goes, hey, it's bro. Hey, cuz, you know what? When you said that prayer, I said that prayer, but I don't want anybody to know. I said, just quiet. Sweet cuz. Sweet. And then I'm working alone, and then someone else comes up there, hey, Uso, when you said that prayer, I said that prayer too, but I didn't want anyone to know. I was going, man. One by one, they will work, and they say, look, but they just didn't want to say it loud. I say, hey, man, look, end of the day, we're blessed to be a blessing. We're blessed to be a blessing. Sometimes it's like, I'm too busy, because, you know, the Hebrew leader, that when he spoke to the people, they were persecuted. Today, it's different. It's busyness. I'm too busy to go to a connect group, to be a small group. I'm too busy. My life is so busy. You know, I realize that I'm so busy that I cannot stop connecting and encouraging. I've got to, because I'm blessed to be a blessing. Come on, church, when we close your eyes, let's pray. Thank you, Lord, that you've called us to be a blessing to people. Thank you, Lord, that we have a church that encourages, that loves us, that gets beside us,